Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. It is June 4th, Thursday. I'm your host, Jose Galison, and this is the kitty of the day, Katniss. She's not being very cuddly right now. She had the zoomies, and I'm a little sweaty because she was playing hide and seek with me. She kept trying to run all over the place, and I kept having to chase her here, and she kept slipping on my hands, running over there. She's still a little kitty, was being playful, was not in a cuddly mood at the moment, was just trying to play with things, but hey, she's the newest queen of our cattery. She's not quite ready for babies yet. She's got quite a little while, but she's a sweet little girl, chocolate little torty, Katniss. Now, if you like seeing my hot takes Monday through Friday, typically around 11 a.m. Eastern, when we make it on time, then be sure to hit that subscribe, or if you just like seeing the kitty of the day, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications. That way you can see when we're dropping new videos and when we're going live. We'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine. It's a beautiful day.
I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
Crazy evil.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, geez, I just realized the volume is yanked all the way up. Give me 1 second. Let me adjust this volume. I'm way too loud. Sorry if I'm coming in harsh. There we go. That should be a lot better. Don't know how that got changed. My bad. Hoping I'm sounding a lot smoother to y'all. Hope you guys are having a good morning. We have plenty to go through. I'm sorry, I'm out of breath. I'm a little fat. I run like multiple over weekly, but still a little chasing of a kitty. I lose my breath. But we have plenty to go through today. Hope you guys are having a good morning. We have plenty to go through today. As always, we start the show off with some icebreaker content, as we call it. Although today it's got a little bit of an upgrade. It has become the icebreaker content segment has upgraded to a titled segment today. So that will be the breaking political kayfabe. So breaking news. There is political kayfabe, and it is breaking. So playing with words a little bit there, being a little silly. Sorry if I got anybody with some clickbait there, but we don't really have like breaking news. But just playing with some words there. But we'll talk a little bit about the Representative Luna scandal that just happened yesterday. It's pretty new, so it's kind of breaking. Follow up on that Cory Booker T-Bone story. So hey, we're gonna equal opportunity, both sides getting these hands, and we're making fun of them. So following up on the T-Bone thing we talked about yesterday. And then I'll give you guys an Epstein update. That'll be then we'll go over to foreign policy, and then we will go over to Epstein update after we go through the news. God, what is with me? After we go through the war news of the day, then we will get into Epstein update. And then, as always, that third segment's kind of up for the chopping block. We'll see how we manage on time. But the last one should be the Pierce pedo nexus, if we have time for that. If not, we'll probably go into it tomorrow, which that's fine. I'd like to build that segment out a little bit more if I have time anyway. So we'll see. There's some interesting little segments. So kind of continuing off of our Brock Pierce coverage from yesterday, we'll be digging more into there. So, but with that, housekeeping as always, just a reminder, what this show is, what the format is. This show is our interactive. It's supposed to be a 5 times a week type of show. It's an info dump, that's what I call it. It's mostly just stuff that I've bookmarked and then I'm going through with you guys. It's kind of like we're doing homework together. So I mean, I'm a podcaster. I like to stay updated on things, what's going on in the world. It's sort of my job in a sense. Not that I make like a ton of money at this thing, but I make some. So it's sort of my job to keep apprised of this stuff. So, and the other option is I sit on my couch and read this stuff. So I just take you guys along with me. We kind of go through all the things a day. I usually break them up into segments. To kind of like overall themes of all. But the point being is this is not overly produced. This isn't stuff that I've, worked through most of the time. Sometimes it is, especially when we're digging into some sort of old lore of sorts, something I may know a lot about. But a lot of times it's new stuff and it's kind of breaking stuff. So we're kind of digging through it together. So give me that little bit of grace there. And then also for those who, this is a live sort of interactive experience is what the show is. It's a live stream. We try to do it Monday through Friday, typically around 11 a.m. Eastern. But not everyone is able to be there for the live or really prefers the live experience. Some people like the podcast experience. Some people like to catch the replay. And so you may not like the back and forth of the chat banter. Well, I take you guys into account. I do put timestamps in the video and podcast /podcast description. And so that way, as soon as you start hearing chat banter, that means we've gotten to the end of the segment. So I save the chat banter toward the end of each segment. So just go down to the podcast /video description, go down to the next segment, and most of them have hyperlinks these days, and they'll bounce you right on to the next one. So no harm, no foul. You can kind of enjoy it in pretty much all the different formats. Now, if you're here for the live experience, do like to remind you guys, I do try to give everyone at least one good morning. After that, you got to catch my interest or catch my wallet. So the wallet being super chat. Interest just kind of depends on how we're doing on time and if it catch my interest. So we'll see. But with that, let's go ahead and get into our first titled segment of the day, Breaking Political Kayfabe, and then we'll say good morning to all you beautiful people. Let me know if you guys are getting audio issues or anything. I don't see anything there. So I came in with one, so just want to make sure it's all good. I'm always worried that, as I'm about to jump into a segment, that I'll come back at the end of the segment after spacing out and going into segment mode and coming back to the chat 30 plus minutes later. Oh, great. It was completely fucked the entire time. So that's all I always like to check in on with you guys. Still hearing no complaints. So cool. Let's pop into the first segment of the day, Breaking Political Kayfabe. Let's talk a little bit about the Representative Luna bullshit that's going on right now. This is how I came across it initially in my feed. Is this one right here, Gunther Eagleman? But we'll delay that for a second. I'll let you guys. We'll church it up a little bit. Coming straight from the horse's mouth, Representative Anna Paulina Luna over her Twitter account says, "After I questioned Secretary Rubio on Code Pink and their ties to the CCP, their organization followed me out, berated me, and then their head person here in D.C. smacked me. I will be filing charges." She goes, "By the way, these are not allegations. It happened. My staff was there when it happened and wrote statements for law enforcement officers." And then now this is how I came across it. So this is kind of, I guess, the fun way to see how the slop conservatives are handling this story. We have Gunther Eagleman. He says, "What happened to Representative Luna today should outrage every American. You don't have to agree with her politics. You don't have to like her questions. You don't even have to vote for her. But following a sitting member of Congress and putting your hands on her is completely unacceptable." And then he shared this video, which I'm guessing, it's pretty obvious from the jump. This is clearly AI. You can tell. So I don't even know if he's really trying to fake it, but kind of weird. Why don't you just post a video of the interaction? Maybe there isn't a video of the interaction. Perhaps that's why. Maybe this is why Gunther felt the need to make some sort of AI-produced video. But let's see. I guess he's trying to color a little bit of our perception of it. So, let's take it all in. Let's see this little AI video that he's produced for us. See how he's characterizing the supposed interaction that happened between Representative Luna and the Code Pink protesters. So here you go.
"Let me through. We need to talk. No more lies. No more war. I hear you, but violence isn't the answer.
We have to keep moving."
"I know. Let's go." "Shame. No more war. Let me through."
Okay, the funny thing is that doesn't really nothing. I guess they're saying this one lady touching her. I guess maybe this is what it is. That this is what you see. This one lady. I didn't even realize that's what they were getting at. That's how pathetic it is, even in their AI characterization. Now, it does give her more of this Chad meme feel. Kind of makes them seem a little more grating. If you don't actually watch the video, it's actually you just assume they're actually kind of, so far as protesters go, acting relatively dignified. I didn't even really process the touching there, like that was a problem. I mean, yes, I would say security-wise, they should clear people out to where like this couldn't accidentally happen. But like in the scope of things, like, oh no, like I don't know, whatever. Yeah, like to be clear, like security should make sure in a situation like this, because in this AI thing, it's making it look like this is happening like the halls of Congress or some tight enclosed location. Well, okay, let's see. Let's dig a little bit deeper. Perhaps we could dig a little bit deeper, see what happened here. Here's Mel, Village Crazy Lady. She says, look, I'm not a lawyer, but I strongly advise that no man ever allow himself to be alone with this woman. She is not well. She's sharing a few of these excerpts of few excerpts of tweets of Representative Luna, I guess around the same time yesterday. Here's one says, I have asked the speaker to ban Code Pink. I was just questioned or just physically hit by their head organizer. This is right after I questioned Secretary Rubio about them. It is time Speaker Johnson banned them. And then there's other, which I guess is showing another one of her retweeting someone saying violence has no place in democracy. What happened to the chairwoman after Secretary Rubio's hearing at the U.S. Capitol is unacceptable and cowardly. Differences are settled with truth and open debate, not with attacks or intimidation. And so she retweeted that. She's also retweeting the TMZ one, where she says she's revealing to TMZ she was assaulted. And then here's another one. Why does the left actively, from Luna herself, says, why does the left actively promote, work with, and support radical insurrectionists from Code Pink who are physically assaulting members, myself, on Capitol Hill? Condemning political violence should not be partisan, yet it becomes increasingly clear there's only one side that continues to condone it. Well, with these excerpts, Mel is quote tweeting another post of hers where she shares the video. So here is Ana Paulina. Here's the little video. Here is 20 seconds of said video, this horrifying assault that supposedly occurred. Actually, give me 1 second. I got to take it down and bring it back up because, of course, StreamYard is on its bullshit again. So give me one more moment. That way you can get the audio too. That way we make sure we get the full context. Here we go. So here is just a 20-second clip of what's going on here between the Code Pink organizer, or I think it was some sort of leader of sorts, and then Luna. So here you go.
Them by the billions.
The government.
By the billions.
No, that hurts the people there. They have no power. You are misinformed.
Whoa, okay. Touched me.
Oh, it was sorry.
It doesn't matter. You just touched me.
Right,
you're going to walk away right now, or else I'm going to call Capitol Police.
Okay.
Don't touch me.
I will walk away. Bye-bye.
That was the interaction, guys. I mean, like, sure, I will grant that, like, she probably shouldn't have touched her, but that is, like, on such a low level of, like, what one would consider assault or infringing upon one's property rights. Like, this is... I mean, at my core, the show started as more of like a theory show. So like I am an anarcho-capitalist, libertarian, whatever. I believe ultimately like the only real comprehensible understanding of rights is property rights, generally speaking. And even that has, has some issues here and there. But generally speaking, yeah, property rights. And so like everyone owns themselves. And so therefore you have the exclusive right to what is done with your property and no one is allowed to infringe upon it without your say-so, and you being your own property, that's what assault is. That's a property crime. That's someone infringing upon you. And it's completely fair to be like, I don't want to be touched. There's plenty of people out there in the world that are germaphobes, and so that is technically an assault, but it's like such a low level and also kind of this like socially understood thing to where we do use physical nudges. It's pretty common to use. Now, to be honest, typically I will say these sorts of gestures are commonly among people with a higher level of rapport. You would think, but like it's also like kind of even a lower level rapport. There are like physical, and some people are more hands than others. It's generally weird, but I mean, you guys can watch. I mean, for the audio people, I'm sorry, it's not going to really translate so well here. But like, and even then, let's watch the touch again real quick. So it does seem kind of like a trying to make a point here. It's like not a violent or anything like that. So let's watch that again.
They have no power. You are misinformed.
Whoa, okay.
Touched me.
Oh, it was like.
Okay, yeah, it was like I don't even know what she said, something about Cuba, something about next time. Anyway, so it was like a little nudge. So I guess it was sort of, in a sense, accompanying a little bit of a verbal jaunt there, a little bit of a verbal stab. Not even that, a verbal jab would probably be the closest thing. A verbal love tap, and then associated it with, to kind of give a little oomph to, I guess, to add the emphasis on that it is slightly combative. I just, it's such a non-issue. It's ridiculous. This is such a level. It's like technically correct and like, sure. And now even then though, even if we are talking about an actual legitimate property right infringement occurring here, I don't believe in how do I put this? A form of criminal justice that's based on essentially punishment. Like I'm more of a fan of restitution. So like, and that's where property rights things come in. So then it becomes, if you were to try to get some sort of third party in here to try to, some sort of court something or other and arbitrate who owes who what. In this situation, you would have to constantly, okay, to what degree did you damage the thing or in any way preclude said person from, being able to use their property as they so desire? And then at that point, it's like, what are we talking about? Like, are we talking? So even with all this in mind, it is like up to the degree of which there was damage. And so it's like, could you make some sort of abstract argument in this some way? Maybe there was some sort of, sure, but we're talking pennies, and this is a ridiculous territory that we are residing in. And even then, on top of all of that, she's immediately contrite, immediately like, oh, my bad, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that, and didn't even really think much of it, was just kind of like, what the fuck? So while she is probably a raving lefty, and we probably wouldn't agree politically, this lady is acting perfectly fine. She seems like a nice, generally nice old lady from this interaction. So one more time, let's catch at least the end here.
No,
sorry.
it doesn't matter. You just touched me.
Right,
You're going to walk away right now, or else I'm going to call Capitol Police.
Okay.
Don't touch me.
I will walk away. Bye-bye.
See, how she handled that so nicely, and Luna was just a bitch. But all right, well, let's check out a longer interaction. Maybe that'll give us some more. Or I thought I had a longer. Did I actually delete it? Well, here's actually, never mind. Let's fuck it. I thought I had a longer back and forth. I guess I did not have that set up. But here is, I guess, more from her after the facts. Let's check this one out.
I don't have an issue asking questions, but when you're berating me and trying to block me from being able to come vote, it's an issue, but I continue to answer them. I was walking out of Rayburn, and as we were trying to walk away from them, I guess they didn't like what I was saying, so one of the lead organizers actually smacked me. And so at that point, I broke contact.
Can you, reenact how you were hit?
I was literally trying to walk away from this person, and they smacked me.
In what part of the body?
They smacked my arm.
Are you injured right now?
I mean, look, either which way, you don't touch anyone, especially if you don't like what they're saying. You cannot physically harm someone. You can't hit them. You can't block people from being able to vote. And so what I will say is I have filed charges. There's footage of this. They have multiple angles of this. There was multiple witnesses. We have people that filed statements as well, and I think that she's going to be getting in a lot of trouble. You cannot do that to people. Okay, I just realized what I did. I do have a longer video for you guys so we can get a little more. Make sure, who knows, maybe we missed something here. Let's find the longer one. Here's from TMZ. It's about a minute long now of the interaction. I was just an idiot, though, and I accidentally, it was connected into a reply with the Gunther one, and I deleted it earlier. Here you go. Here's a little bit longer. Let's see if this makes it a little bit less ludicrous on Luna's part. Let's check it out.
Cuban people
Right,
being
not
killed right now by a policy of cutting off oil, cutting off every single way that government can get money to keep the hospitals going.
To actually get aid to the people of Cuba, because it doesn't sound like you do.
No, because Marco Rubio has been sanctioning the Cuban people, which is hurting them by the
He's
billions.
sanctioning the government.
By the billions.
No, that hurts the people there. They have no power. You are misinformed.
When's the last time you were in Cuba?
Wait, you just touched me.
Oh, it was
No,
sorry.
It doesn't matter. You just touched me.
All right,
You're going to
I won't do
walk
that.
away right now, or else I'm going to call Capitol Police.
Okay.
Don't touch me.
I will walk away. Bye-bye.
I mean, I will grant that one's a little bit longer. And now, to be fair, that's actually more like around 40 seconds. It only gave us about like 10, 15 seconds more of context. That one did make it give the impression of being more combative. Here's a different angle, as if that makes a difference.
You are
When's the
misinformed.
last time you were in Cuba?
Whoa, okay.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know. And also, I will say she was doing this move where she like initially was seemingly attentive and responding, and you could just tell at the point when the lady nudged her, it seemed like she'd kind of zoned out, wasn't even really being as engaging with her responses, if that makes sense. So I also don't even necessarily know if that was even meant to express some sort of added oomph to her contempt. So it's not even like aggressive in that sense. I actually think it may, back to my initial point of it, like kind of like a hey, kind of like get your attention, like because it seems like she was kind of, oh, you guys are just like, she was kind of almost droning off. She's like, you guys are just on a farm or whatever. And so then it was this like, so hey, when was the last time you were in Cuba? It's like kind of be like, fuck you, and also re-grab your attention. So I think it was more of an attention grabbing move. But all right, yeah, this is dumb. This is dumb. Really, really dumb. Also, like, this chick is like, I don't know, she honestly kind of looks like she may have some sort of issue or something. It's Medea Benjamin is this lady, co-founder of peace group Code Pink. So this is the lady that was doing, so she's actually like, I guess, one of the co-founders. She literally looks like she's like sickly. So it's like, even to add to all of this, I mean, maybe she's just older, just kind of sinewy looking, but she could be sick for all I know. But yeah, a little ridiculous. So kind of breaking the kayfabe in a retarded way. And keep in mind, this is like the point lady for like pretty much all the truthiness of the Trump administration, the most transparent administration. This has been like the point lady for all the like JFK files, Epstein files, UFO files. She's been the point broad. She has been the one that is, I forget what she ran. She ran some sort of group, which I think was supposed to ensure that the stuff got released by the DOJ in a timely manner, but let's be real, it ended up essentially taking on the relationship that U.S. has to Israel in every single peace deal. That's the role that Luna and her compatriots filled there. So keep in mind, this is who that is. Now, on the flip side, let's pop in and talk a little bit about Cory Booker over on the left side of the aisle. He came up in our Shabtai segment the other day on the Shabtai Society in Yale. Cory Booker being one of its founders, being a top tier Shabbos goy. Like when you ever think of a Shabbos goy, this is like one of the mini bosses. Maybe not like the boss. That would probably be like Shabtai himself or some other person. But this is, well, no, Shabtai's not a goy. So and he might be he's I don't know if I want to say he's like the main boss, but he's definitely a mini boss. But yeah, let's dig into his friend T-Bone. Like I think one of you guys brought this up yesterday in the chat, something about his friend T-Bone. Apparently Cory Booker, much like Corn Pop with Joe Biden, has some sort of fictional character. It's like, me and T-Bone, we be down in the park, and I be see people selling drugs, and we be like, hey, yo, you don't be doing that in our community. Let's all get together, and we'll use democracy and end this. Like, this sort of character. So let's dig a little bit of this. Now I'm talking out my ass. I don't know hardly shit about this. You guys let me know about this. So I found an article for today. I figured we'd dig into it because it is it's always astounding when you just see the just how the audacity of these motherfuckers. Basically, it's kind of fun looking back now. I feel like this is like people have forgotten this is a thing because yeah, these stories come out every now and then. But now it feels like politicians have gotten hip with it. They stopped just making up random stories, or at least ones that are like easily verifiable. Like they stopped doing that as much. But like 10, 20 years ago, nobody's double checking these stories. If you talk about some dude you talked to back in Compton or whatever the fuck, and me and him used to go get churros every other day, and we'd be hanging out with the gringos and the poppies and the bloods over on Fifth Street. Like, like they just be making shit up. So, but now we've got to the point where these things are kind of like easily exposable. They were kind of still using this tack during a period of time where they kind of they probably shouldn't have been, and so now we get these fun stories. So it's nice taking a look back at this era of politics, and some of the swamp monsters are still around from this era, and it's nice just to remind ourselves that these are this is the kind of scum that they are. So with that, let's go ahead and dig into this sucker. This is from National Review. It says Cory Booker's imaginary friend. Says the Newark mayor invented a street character for dramatic effect. It says go back and listen to Cory Booker's stump speeches over the years, and in any of those, and as in those of any politician, you'll hear many of the same stories. But Booker's are more dramatic and heartrending than most. They draw heavily on his experiences in Newark, New Jersey, where he moved in 1995 after his second year at Yale Law School. They've also helped to make him a political celebrity and put millions of dollars into his campaign war chest in Newark's coffers. Booker's tales of his trials and travails on the streets of Newark, the city that twice elected a mayor, are familiar, and they have helped to breed an almost mythological aura around the Stanford, Oxford, and Yale graduate. He did, after all, rescue a woman from a burning building last year. When was this written? Let's check and see when this piece was written. This is written back in 2013. So this is a 13-year-old piece. So they were talking about, I guess he has a story that he saved a lady from a fire 14 years ago. This dude's a fucking hero. And then... let me see. Where do we leave off? Sustaining burns in the process. So I'm guessing he got some burns as well. Or not guess. That's what he's saying he got. He probably got a little bit of a sunburn or something. He is a light-skinned feller. But sources tell National Review Online the central character of one of Booker's oft-repeated stories, T-Bone, the drug pusher, who the mayor has said threatened his life at one turn and sobbed at his shoulder the next, is a figment of his imagination, even though Booker has talked about him in highly emotional terms and in great detail. I imagine this T-Bone character as being like Will Ferrell's character from the other, like his hood character from the other guy's Gator, like from his old days. That's who I imagine T-Bone to be. The tale is one Booker admits he's told a million times, according to the Newark Star-Ledger. Ronald Rice Jr., a Newark City councilman and Booker ally who has known the mayor since 1998, says the T-Bone story was a fixture of Booker's unsuccessful 2002 mayoral bid against corrupt Newark political boss Sharp James, perhaps for its symbolic value. In Booker's mind, according to city councilman, it's not so much the details of the story that matter, but the principle that these things happen. They happen to real people. They happen in the city of Newark. Rice, a Newark native, says he doesn't know whether T-Bone exists, but he explains, if Corey had to tell a story or two and mix details up for Newark to get the funding for it, I see this as something that's taking tragedy and doing something productive for it. The T-Bone tale never sat right with Rutgers University history professor Clement Rice, a Booker supporter who tells National Review Online he found the mayor's story offensive because it pandered to a stereotype of inner-city black men. T-Bone, Price says, is a southern-inflected name. You would expect to run into something or somebody named T-Bone in Memphis, not Newark. Price considers himself a mentor and friend to Booker and says Booker conceded to him in 2008 that T-Bone was a composite of several people he'd met while living in Newark. Okay, it's a composite now. The professor described a tough conversation in which he told Booker that I disapproved of this inventing such a person. If you're going to create a composite of a man along High Street, why don't you make it W.E. Du Bois? Yeah, why don't you make it a dignified color, Vela Booker? Why do you gotta make it some hood nigga? Like, what is your deal, dude? From Booker, he says there was no pushback. He agreed that was a mistake. Since then, he references to T-Bone have been conspicuously absent from Booker's speeches. Booker has never quite publicly said that T-Bone does not exist. In fact, he's done quite the opposite. Andra Gillespie, the author of The New Black Politician, writes, for his part, Booker defended the veracity of the story to me, insisting that T-Bone really existed. The mayor told Esquire in 2008 that T-Bone is both 1,000% real, but also an archetype symbolic of Newark's plight. Asked whether the mayor stands by his previous statements, Booker campaign spokesman Kevin Griffiths told me, I think your questions have been answered a long time ago, but declined to specify further. By the way, if Booker ever makes the presidency, which I don't really think he would, but he has the elements where he could, perhaps. I don't know, not in this current paradigm, but perhaps. But either way, this hypothetical, I really feel like it would fucking crush if somebody made a T-Bone movie. Like he was like some sort of like, you know, his silent advisor, this like hood dude. That's where he keeps. That's how Cory Booker keeps his ear to the streets with his homie T-Bone. That would be a fun movie. That would be a real fun movie. Anyways, back into it. It's not the first time Booker has been caught taking liberties with the truth. In 2007 remarks to Democrats in Summit, New Jersey, he described the recently deceased Newark activist Judy Diggs as a potty-mouthed educator who was also always cussing out my mama, cussing out my daddy, and said she died in a truly poetic way, reading to children. After catching wind of his remarks, the Diggs family, according to the Newark Star-Ledger, came forward incensed to correct the record. Diggs, it turned out, had died in her office. Booker apologized, emphasizing that his words were in bad taste. I fully understand their offensive nature, and I offer my profound apology. The mayor has gone into painstaking detail about his experiences with the elusive T-Bone. I still remember my first month on the street, he told Stanford's Alumni magazine in 2001 about moving into a crime-ridden area of Newark in 1995. I walked up to this charismatic black guy my age named T-Bone, who was one of the drug lords. That's not how Booker counts, but we're talking about T-Bone, so I'm filling in the blanks here, having fun with it. I just said, yo, man, what's up? And he leaped up in front of me. I can't keep that accent. We're just doing normal Jose accent here. And he leaped in front of me, looked me right in the eye, and said, "Who the blank do you think you are?" All right, I'll put on a little Ebonics for T-Bone, like when he's quoting T-Bone. If you ever so much as look at me again, I'm going to put a cap in your ass. Okay, see, I think it works to do T-Bone. At Yale Law School in March 2007, he said he used to sit there and watch T-Bone operate this street-level drug trade. Booker said he eventually befriended the street drug who turned to him for help in a moment of desperation. On a day the mayor described the Yale audience as one of his most discouraging in Newark, T-Bone asked him to go for a ride. It was then that T-Bone confided there were warrants out for his arrest. I found myself in this awkward position of trying to counsel this guy to turn himself in, to actually go to prison, because I knew he would. He looks at me hard and begins to tell me about his life story. And some of what shocked me and silenced me is they told me the exact same life story up until the age of 12 or 13 as my father. Exactly the same. Both of them were in extreme poverty. Both of them were born to a single mother who could not take care of them. Both of them were taken in by their grandmothers, but they were both too rambunctious for their grandmothers to handle, and by the age of 10, they were turned out into the streets. Then Booker said he looked at me with this vicious ferocity that he looked at me when he first threatened my life, and he bit down hard on his lip, and he burst in tears, and he started crying and sobbing into my dashboard. He told the New School in February 2000. I don't feel like T-Bone would appreciate you telling everybody that he's be breaking down out there, getting soft. That rift between me and T-Bone was inches. We sat there, but I felt so alienated that there was a gulf as wide as the Grand Canyon between us. And I could not reach out to save this young man, and we drove back to Brick Towers, and I've never seen him again since that day. Well, damn it, that ends the tales of T-Bone. Walter C. Farrell, a professor of social work at the University of North Carolina, tells me that he has long had ties to Newark. Upon hearing Booker recount his experience with T-Bone, set out to look for him. That would be a fun one, too. The search for T-Bone, like a documentary. That'd be fun. I've been up and down the streets, and nobody's ever heard of this T-Bone, says Farrell, who was in Newark when he spoke with me by phone. You know, a lot of politicians do that. Yeah, I could, like, that would be a great documentary. Just like on the street, you're interviewing people. Like, tell me about this T-Bone. Did anybody say this? You could have a lot of fun with that. Farrell argues that Booker serves up fables that appeal to his audiences. Upper middle-class white people love to hear these stories, somebody who cares. So Cory Booker gave it to them and is still giving it to them, he says. Rice, the city councilman, echoed that sentiment to saying Booker tells a story particularly to folks outside of Newark. Booker was raised in a wealthy borough of Bergen County, New Jersey, and has long battled skeptics in Newark who viewed him as an outsider and derided him as a tool of the country's elite interests. Sharp James, who beat Booker when the latter first ran for mayor in 2002, denounced him during the campaign as a Republican who took money from the KKK and was collaborating with the Jews to take over Newark. Okay, well, that guy is the Sharp James. This guy has an interesting outlook on the world. Rice says that many in the city continue to ask whether the mayor is all talk or actually immersed and integrated in the city he leads. The stories Booker tells on the campaign trail, including the tale of T-Bone, are intended to demonstrate the latter. He has watched drug addicts strap on surgical tubing from the window of his blighted apartment building, pitched a tent outside of Garden Spires, the drug-infested Newark apartment complex, to force authorities to beef up security, and learned formative lessons at the knee of Virginia Jones, a tenants' right leader who implored him to see hope, opportunity, possibility, love in the face of God and the devastation around him. All right. Well, I got a couple more paragraphs. I guess we could finish this. Booker is, of course, not the first politician to... fuck it. I don't care enough to go into like all the other people. I do think it's, once again, bring it back to this is literally the guy who created the entity that does Shabbos Goy dinners at Yale, essentially, so that way they can court Jewish billionaires and other such connected people literally on show. This guy and he comes from money. So this guy, I don't know, there's something to this. This is this inversion that comes out here. I think it's almost like telling when you have these guys that have all these crazy stories about and that's when I was on the out there on the slums, talking to the homeless people, and or I was hanging out with try to like create this legend of yourself that doesn't exist as if you're some sort of hardened man of the people. It's like the harder they try to do that, the more they're like typically not. This is literally, I mean, it just feels like projection. This is what he would like to believe he is, perhaps. He maybe even may think he is. I don't know. But with that, let's roll into the chat, check into you guys. What do you guys think? What do you think of T-Bone? And on the flip side, too, I don't feel like I emphasized this enough with Luna. I do think it's interesting. She's, maybe she didn't realize the video would come out so soon or something, or thought maybe it looked better than it did. But it did seem like she was really quick to jump onto the whole like domestic terrorist vibe there, which they're really trying to push for the lefties these days. They've kind of sort of stopped after the ICE debacle, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a resurgence, and this kind of feels, connected to it, although it could just be bitches be tripping type thing. Who knows? But with that, we did talk about me and Matt Wolfson yesterday. We recorded a weekly Wolfson that'll be out this weekend. For the patrons, it's already up, but we kind of talk about how essentially the changing of the rhetoric and the usage of things like terrorists to essentially deign people out there as to dehumanize and essentially enemy distinctions, kind of like a stupid way of doing enemy distinctions, and kind of how it slides into everybody until everybody's a terrorist. But yeah, so with that, let's roll the chat, say some good mornings. I guess I was just trying to connect the two there, touching on a lot of similar themes there. So good morning, Tom33. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Marnamac. Tom33 says, how often do you guys have to change out your breeder cats? Says, I'm familiar with breeding snakes and ganja, but not mammals. Are there like goals beyond just healthy kittens? I guess it depends what you mean by goals. Everybody has different goals. There's like what they call the breed standard that people go for. And then there's like we don't breed for breed standard, for example. Like, I've probably talked, like you think of Sphinx, you think of hairless. Our cats aren't truly hairless, and no Sphinx is actually truly hairless. But most people going for the breed standard or above, I guess, do try to breed for less and less hair. But there's like a peach fuzz. Although we actually try to breed for a little bit more velvety. We find it to be better for their health. Because when you get too naked, not enough hair, the natural oils of their skin don't quite wick as well, and this is why people always think you have to bathe Sphinx all the time. You don't. You really probably only need to give them a bath like once or twice a year, and maybe even just kind of wipe them down, if that, because they do have hair, just like cats do. You don't give cats baths, like you don't give normal cats baths. The only reason you would do it to some Sphinx is because they have such little hair, and they almost have like a sticky, and the oil builds up. But most of them, especially if you breed it for more of a fuzzy, that's not an issue. But yeah, we breed for healthy. We breed, I guess generally kind of how we like them to look, which is like kind of healthier, stockier. Generally the sort of like appearance things tend to kind of go hand in hand with healthy, aside from like the superficial things like the colors. Like obviously we like to have a good mix of all the different colors. You've seen we have a couple chocolate torties. That's like a really rare color that you don't really ever see. So we've kind of honed in on that a little bit because, hey, that's kind of rare, and we were able to kind of luck up, and that landed in one of our litters, and then we kind of bred more and more for it over time, and we kept getting it. So, hey, here we go. I'm trying to think what else. How often do we change them out? I think it's like something like 5 to 8 litters or something like that. I forget. My wife knows so she kind of handles that sort of things, like the specifics. But yeah, we do have to change them out every so often, and then we do rehome them at that point, unless it's like a cat that we've like really bonded with, and that's like a home cat. Although we're all full on home cats. We basically all have our own little individual cat here, all the family members, except for me. I don't really have one that we've kept, but. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in there about kitty stuff. I can yap about kitty stuff for a while. I just can't really think of anything else specifically there. Good morning, Oxtail. Good morning. Good morning, Bug Fight says we are on a roll. Yeah, I think that'll be probably the norm here in the summer. Kind of my schedule is much changed now that the school year is over, so should be far more consistent. So should be much more closer to the goal of 5 days a week. And also closer to the goal of 11 a.m. even every morning. Okay, here's Tom. Says, are you only producing kittens or working a long-term genetic line of cats? I don't know if there's even a difference in cats. guess it depends on what you mean by long-term genetic line. But yeah, we have our own line. I think we've been breeding long enough to where like ours are fairly distinct. Like obviously every now and then you have to buy new mothers and get like you can't only get queens from within your own litter. Like you have to mix them up. But I think we've got a pretty good line, and we've occasionally mix in things. And I mean, obviously we don't ever do anything weird like incest or anything like that. But you get a big enough tree, you can kind of pull this one from that one. And but yeah, anyways, I think we have a long-term genetic line. I guess it depends on how long-term you're talking. But yeah, we're not just producing kittens. We're trying to create a reputation of creating good kitties. So good morning, Hotep. Good morning. It says, got a recommendation. Shows you how, yes, it's the Jews, and it has been for thousands of years, and tells you the real story behind the Nephilim. Okay, well, he's over on Rumble. He dropped a link. Hotep, let me know if that's something you wanted me to play for the show. Is it like a short clip? Otherwise, I'll try to remember to pop in and check that out on my own time, but appreciate you joining the show, Hotep. There is that link if you guys want to check that out over in the Rumble chat. Good morning, King David. Good morning. Saying hit that like button. Good morning, JC. Good morning, Cubertimo. Good morning, Real John Doe. Good morning. Cooper says skin tone and hair texture seem to play a role in certain breeds when it comes to having more proclivity for violence as a group as opposed to other breeds. It's a pretty good little joke there. Good job. Good morning, user Chathead. Good morning. Says, think about taking shrooms while cleaning pools today. Not a lot, but I need some energy. You get energy out of shrooms? I mean, I could see how that'd be nice. I guess, I don't know. I guess it depends on how your but how your pool job works. Like, is it one of these things where you're like pre-arranged with people and like you don't even have to interact with a client hardly? Like it's already done online. Maybe you've arranged some way to like maybe keep a key under the mat for the pool or something along those lines. Because yeah, I wouldn't want to interact with people. Like if you're able to just keep your head down, and I mean the problem would be driving. I would not want to drive with shrooms. I mean, I guess you said not a lot. So, but I don't know. Get energy from shrooms? I never got energy from the few times I've done like micro doses. Just kind of feel a little off. My perception, if it feels a little bit like you almost feel slightly superhuman in a sense, in that like your perception and the certain things you pick up on, you seem to be much more in tune with the moment. But at the same time, you are kind of a little bit like off in a weird way, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to interact with people. Driving seems sketchy, even on a low one. Like the times that I microdosed, it was like because I wasn't driving that day. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe that might be nice. I feel like you'd be really in your thoughts as you're cleaning some pools. Tom says, I know guys that hit you hard than that in a normal conversation. Yep, on the back and forth there. Tom33 says, Cory Booker is Netanyahu's house. You can fill in the rest. Good morning, Mr. Wokereich. Says T-Bone's bitches better be wearing jimmies. Nice. Good morning, Block A. It's just not that gay without Jose. Let's go. Good to see you here. I already said good morning to you, right, Bug Fights? If not, good morning. Who else? Good morning, Mr. Mudbutt. Fun name. Yo, finally made it live. Good to have you here. T-Bone cried the first time I soaked him off. Oh, well, that wouldn't have been him. I fucked that up. Good morning, that would have been Cory Booker saying it. Tower Gang NPC, good morning to you. Good morning. Carissa explains it all, saying good day, y'all. Good morning to you. It's a fun name. Are you a content creator? Because I feel like with a name like that, you should be, and you should be doing explanation videos. Good morning, PhD. Nick Rivera says, I want all the cats. Says, I just saved one 2 weeks ago from underneath my neighbor's car. Black female kitten. Oh, did you keep it? That's cute. Well, I guess you said it was over at your neighbors, so but that's good. I love seeing those sorts of things. Life is beautiful. We should take care of life, foster it. Unless you're gonna eat it, then it's okay. Murder the fuck out of it. Good morning. Another Bug Fights. I think he moved from Rumble over to YouTube. That's the move. Boost that shit up, people. Help a brother out. There you go. User chat at all online. So that's the move. Okay, yeah, maybe. I mean, the driving's a little bit sketch, I guess. I don't know. Kind of good morning, retardo. Good morning. This is morning, my nigga Jose and fellow dumpers. Oh, PhD Nick Rivera kept it. Is that the kitty? Is that who the profile pic is, or that pic is right there? Is that Is that the kitty? Oh, is that the kitty, the black cat right there? Because that's adorable. If that's the photo you chose, I'm glad you guys hit it off. That's always nice. But yeah, I'm blessed. I'm very lucky to do that. I guess for a job. So it is my job, I guess. Yeah, to basically just get stoned and play with kitties, and then I may also pick up a little extra chump change over here, talking to you guys about nerdy shit that I'm interested in, anyways. So. Pretty lucky. It'd be nice if we could up the income there, bring it up to like a middle to upper class based on things I like. But hey, even just make a little bit of chump change after from doing stuff I like. Ain't that the life, ain't it? But with that, that's a different kitty though. I guess you got a bunch of black kitties, huh? Well, with that, let's go ahead and get into foreign policy. Let's check in on the world of war, the latest news over there. Over at antiwar.com, as always, this is where I generally am yanking all this from. So you can go check out Dave DeCamp's regular daily show he does over there over at Antiwar, or you can go check out antiwar.com for the articles that they curate and write themselves, many of them. This one is one that was written by Dave DeCamp. So this is the latest in the back and forth. Looks like politicians finally good for fucking something for once. The House passes an Iran war powers resolution, so okay, all right. Looks like a little bit of getting a little action. The House on Wednesday passed a war powers resolution that would direct Trump to end his war with Iran as the U.S. continues to enforce a blockade on Iranian ports and trade attacks with the Iranian military despite a nominal ceasefire. The bill passed in a vote of 215 to 208, with 4 Republicans, Thomas Massie, Warren Davidson from Ohio, Tom Barrett from Michigan. I believe that's Michigan, MI. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe that's Missouri. I forget which one's which. And Brian Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, joining Democrats in support of the effort to end the war, which Trump launched without congressional authorization in violation of the Constitution. The bill now heads to the Senate, where it has a chance to pass, since a similar Iran war powers resolution advanced in the chamber last month. So, okay, looks a little promising there. That's interesting. The resolution would not be close to getting a veto-proof majority, but passing it through both the House and Senate would send a message to the administration that could make it more politically difficult to restart the full-scale bombing campaign against Iran. While Trump administration officials have declared the 1973 war powers resolution unconstitutional, they have also been desperately trying to circumvent the law, which was passed to rein in the executive branch's disregard for the Constitution's requirement that Congress has the sole power to declare war. The law, which doesn't supersede the Constitution, includes a 60-day deadline for the president to end any unauthorized military action or obtain authorization from Congress, a deadline that has been falsely reinterpreted to allow the president 60 days to wage war without congressional authorization. The 60-day deadline for the Iran war expired on May 1st, and the administration has tried to claim that the ceasefire should have paused the clock, but the blockade means the U.S. military is still engaged in hostilities against the country. On Tuesday, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio claimed to Congress that the war is over, despite continued U.S. attacks on commercial ships, which Iran responded to on Tuesday night by targeting U.S. bases in Kuwait and Bahrain. So, something promising. Now, obviously, being cynical here, you look at this, you go, okay, cool, it's made it through the House, it's got to go through the Senate. That's kind of, it looks like it's probably semi-favored to get through the Senate, but then at that point, there's like a certain amount you got to get for it to be veto-proof, so where no one can veto it. Well, it's almost certainly not going to be veto-proof, so it's going to be sitting on the president's desk for him to be able to veto it. Now, I mean, on the flip side, this does obviously, if he does veto it, he's kind of got a really, he's probably going to cause, more political stuff. Like, it's probably going to cause more of these bills to come through. It's probably going to cause more political action. You might actually get to a situation where you could see a veto proof, and it's going to kind of ramp up the situation, make it even more politically unfavorable, maybe even rally more Republicans to the cause. So could be a real problem politically. So yes, like in a real way, they can flout this decision. If assuming it goes to the Senate, they can throw it out. They can veto. They can And they very well may. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised, but I also kind of wouldn't be surprised if this in some way curbs the situation somehow, because, I mean, I remember something like this way back in one of the different excursions over in Yemen. Is one of the times this happened. I believe this is when we were like assisting with like air refueling or something. One of the different assisting the Saudis or some shit in some of the awful stuff occurring over there. And one of these such resolutions, I believe, got passed. And it would have, I can't remember if it was like going to die in the next round or if it was going to get vetoed or what or this. But even just that, the passing kind of caused the administration to back off. I think they kind of did the standard political, like framing it in a way of like, well, I wanted to do that anyways or this or that or whatever. But either way, it does seem like it caused them to back off because it kind of realized it changes the political calculation. So this changes the political calculation. Now, is it going to be enough of a political calculation to matter? I don't know. Things haven't looked so good so far, but hey, I mean, it's kind of at that point where it's dragging on. I mean, we have all these rumors that they're going to pick up the hostilities again. So, I mean, I don't know. It's a mixed bag. I could kind of see either way. It does feel like it's kind of droning on too right now too. So it'd be kind of a perfect time for some sort of something to force this thing to heal. So hopefully this is it. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll let you know. Now popping over to the latest back and forth here. Kind of the state of the so-called ceasefire between Iran and the U.S. Here's a piece from Dave DeCamp again. Says they were slightly provoked. Trump downplays Iran's attacks targeting U.S. bases in Kuwait and Bahrain. Now, I think this one's really revealing. We'll get into this. So Trump said on Wednesday, President Trump on Wednesday downplayed Iranian attacks that targeted U.S. bases in Kuwait and Bahrain, saying they may have been slightly provoked since the U.S. launched strikes against Iran before him. There is a reason for everything, and we hit them pretty hard last night, the president told reporters in the Oval Office. Some people would say they were slightly provoked because we took a strong action for a different reason, so they were reciprocating. Iran launched the missile and drone attacks after the U.S. bombed a commercial ship in attempting to reach Iran and launch strikes on Iran's Qasem Island. During the Iranian attack on Kuwait, a passenger terminal at Kuwait's international airport was hit, and at least one person was killed, and more than 60 were injured. Local officials said the terminal was hit by Iranian drones, which Iran denied, claiming that it was struck by an errant U.S. Patriot missile interceptor. Kuwait's aviation authority later released a video of the strike that appeared to show a drone striking the terminal. U.S. CENTCOM denied Iran's allegation. A statement that came after it claimed that Iranian missiles fired at Kuwait fell short or broke apart en route, and a second wave of Iranian drones failed to hit their intended targets. Despite the casualties of the Kuwait airport, Trump said the Iranian attacks were not a big deal and that the U.S. nipped it in the bud very quickly. Now, this is the line right here that I think is really key and really explanatory of a lot of this, or maybe not even explanatory. I mean, maybe you could see this as cope or trying to shift, understanding of words. It says, when asked if the ceasefire was still in place, he said, in that part of the world, ceasefire is when you're shooting in a more moderate manner, which, holy fucking shit, that is a quote, especially after the years and years and years of our interaction in the Middle East in regards to Israeli or backstopping Israeli, actions over there in the Middle East. Absolutely astounding thing to say. Like this, I think this should color how you understand this. This is how he's understanding ceasefire. So as you look at all these ceasefires over the Middle East that are basically not ceasefires, and pretty much damn near all the ceasefires I think out there are, around 1,000+ people since ceasefires were instituted that have died for each one of these different ones, generally speaking. And this in the third party here, the one who's supposed to ensure that it's actually a ceasefire, the one who's supposed to prevent this sort of stuff from happening by using whatever political leverage they have, which we have. This is how he views it. He just sees a ceasefire as when you're shooting in a more moderate manner. Iran's attacks were its most significant response yet to U.S. violations of the ceasefire, representing a new Iranian strategy to avoid more tit-for-tat strikes. Araghchi vowed on Wednesday that Tehran would continue to have a strong response to any U.S. attacks. And then once again, following up on this phone call that we've talked about, I think 3 days in a row now between Trump and Netanyahu, they got leaked to Axios. The first day we talked about the story that dropped. The second day we showed that apparently Trump had come out and responded to it, and he said, "Yep, that's a thing." Essentially confirming that the Trump administration was okay with that leaking. It seemed fairly okay with it. He was didn't deny it. Didn't freak out about journalists leaking stuff or anybody or leaks in the administration. Just yeah, whatever. Seemingly, well, here is Netanyahu. Netanyahu has now responded to this. Let's see what he has to say.
And confirmed that he said you're effing crazy. How did you react to that? What really happened in that call?
Well, I'm not going to get into details of our conversations. We've had thousands, a lot of them. And if you think this is a crisis, you should be in some other conversations. But we've always found a way. We have so many agreements. We agree on the main things. We want to get Iran, the nuclear program in Iran, finished. We want to make sure that Iran doesn't pose a threat to Israel, to the Middle East, to America, that it doesn't develop nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them, not only to Israel and to every capital in Europe, but to every city in the United States. That's our common goal. That's what we set out to do. And to expand the circle of peace, as the president and I did in the Abraham Accords together. So we have common goals. Sometimes we have, as in the best of families, you have these tactical disagreements. We always find a way to work them out. And we do so as great friends. We can disagree in the morning, and by the afternoon we're common action.
So I was going to say.
So here's Netanyahu confirming it as well. Shit-eating grin the whole time through. And I think one thing to realize, we're obviously going to cover it here in a few. Dude, is anything changing in how Israel is behaving towards Lebanon? Since all of this news has been 3 days now of covering, has anything changed? No, not really. It's the same old thing. Now, I guess maybe the perception for the MAGA copers out there would be like, oh, well, they're at odds and they're arguing. And then from there, you can kind of maybe, if you were pressed on like, okay, well, then is anything changing? You'd be like, well, he knows he's mad, so he's chilling out right now, and it could be way worse. So it's kind of creates this like this unprovable counterfactual that, oh, well, because they're arguing, like, so he's helping out here by getting into it with them, as opposed to doing anything of substance. So, yeah, that's that. Continuing on with the U.S.-Israel relationship, we have a congressman introducing a bill to change the U.S.-Israel relationship based on Netanyahu's plan. It says on Wednesday, Marlin Stutzman, a Republican in Indiana, introduced a bill in the House calling for a change in the U.S.-Israel relationship that's based on a plan put forward by Netanyahu. Amid growing skepticism among Americans about the U.S.-Israel relationship, Netanyahu has suggested that the U.S. could eventually end its military aid to Israel and transition the relationship to a more partnership-based model that would further intertwine the U.S. and Israeli militaries, making the special relationship even harder to unravel. Which, by the way, this is different than the other NDA thing we talked about the other day. So, I think this is important. You have, multiple angles of attack of essentially attempts to integrate the Israeli military into the United States military. So I think it's something to be aware of. Stutzman's bill praises Netanyahu for coming up with the idea and calls for the U.S. and Israel to form a new memorandum of understanding to replace traditional military assistance with a framework of joint defense co-development, co-production, and mutual investment that will strengthen both nations' defense industries and military readiness. Under the current U.S.-Israeli MOU, Israel receives at least $3.8 billion in military aid from the U.S. each year, although it has received much more since October 7, 2023. The purpose of Netanyahu's plan is to remove public-facing military aid to reduce criticism of the U.S.-Israel relationship and to make whatever aid and support Israel receives from the U.S. under the new arrangement much less transparent. So instead of straight money, it's going to be services, the military becoming essentially under their wing. Stutzman introduced the bill 1 week after meeting with Netanyahu in Jerusalem and also shared a letter the Israeli leader wrote to him endorsing the legislation. If you look at it, it's $4 billion annually, or you get essentially have a $1.5 trillion behemoth by the balls. I mean, yay, there's no more Israel aid. Yeah, okay. Stutzman introduced the bill 1 week after meeting with Netanyahu in Jerusalem, and also shared a letter the Israeli leader wrote to him endorsing the legislation. I was glad to receive your proposed congressional resolution endorsing my plan to shift the framework for U.S.-Israel defense cooperation from aid to partnership, Netanyahu wrote. While Stutzman's bill is largely symbolic, Congress is advancing other legislation to further integrate the U.S. and Israeli militaries. Buried inside the House's version of the 2027 NDAA is Section 224, entitled the U.S.-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative, which, according to Ben Freeman of the Quincy Institute, would arguably do more to intertwine the U.S. military with the Israeli military than the more than $200 billion in military assistance Israel has received from the U.S. since its founding in 1948. Summarizing what Section 224 aims to achieve, New Policy, a lobby group founded by Josh Paul, who resigned from the State Department during the Biden administration over U.S. support for Israel's genocidal war in Gaza, said that as political pressure builds to reduce U.S. military assistance to Israel, Section 224 provides a framework for continuing and expanding U.S.-Israel military ties by entrenching Israeli technology within the U.S. defense supply chain in a way that would shield it from annual appropriations process. Now here is the guy right here. What did I say his name was? Stoltzman. So here he is on CNN. Let's check this out.
Congressman, you actually met with Prime Minister Netanyahu in Jerusalem last week, and you provided him with a draft House resolution that would end U.S. financial military aid to Israel. Tell us more about your proposal and how the Prime Minister viewed it.
Yeah, so we had a great meeting. I tell you, the relationship between the United States and Israel is stronger than ever. And this was actually something that came from Prime Minister Netanyahu's conversation with 60 Minutes a couple of weeks ago, when he said that the next MOU with the United States and Israel, he would like to see us move away from the $3.8 billion annual supplement that we send to Israel. We've been calling it aid to trade. Moving from an aid supplement to a trade agreement, to defense agreements, and a real mature partnership, because Israel has grown tremendously and their abilities and capabilities are incredible.
Did you catch how sneaky what that was? Aid to trade. What a deceptive way to characterize this situation, as essentially integrating with the U.S. military as trade. So you're trading. So they're seeing this as trade. We're trading defense for insert here. I don't know what we're supposedly getting for this exchange, this trade. There should be something on the other side. I guess the argument would be their side of things. I'm sure they'd probably lean into their defense research, their supply, or they're like, I don't know, I don't even know. I know they're like big into like tech stuff, and like, I do think they've kind of monopolized certain supply chains on certain things, and so they're sort of maybe some abstract, but it's definitely lopsided here. So to frame this as if this is some sort of like, hey, I have $5 and you have 12 apples, would you like to make an exchange? It's not quite that. This is all state money. This is just money being stolen from the people given to Israel. There's no trade occurring here. But anyways, let's continue on. This is kind of in a similar vein of this discussion. The point I tried to tell you guys to hone in on with Trump a minute ago about how he thinks of ceasefires over in the Middle East world. It's here you go. We have an Israeli military chief saying no ceasefire for IDF in Lebanon. This is another little bit that's quite revealing. It says consistently, media reports generally advance the idea that the ceasefire in Lebanon is holding, and the U.S. expresses hope that Israel-Lebanon talks they're hosting will lead to an even stronger ceasefire. The reality, however, suggests neither of those is actually the case. Israeli military chief of staff, the chief of staff, to be very clear, because this is what happens anytime Israel does stuff. You have literally the heads of cabinets, heads of like military, like the top dogs. You'll give all these crazy quotes, and people will be like, "Oh, it's just some dude," and then, okay. So this is the Israeli military chief of staff. He made the IDF position very clear during a visit to a Haifa base today, declaring that there is no ceasefire for our forces. Lieutenant General Zamir said that rather than seeking a ceasefire, Israel's goal was to maximize the freedom of action. Like, think about what that means that they have in Lebanon, which, since Israel attacks dozens of targets on a daily basis, suggests things are going as intended for them. So think about how crazy, duplicitous, and what like a dystopian turn of phrase that is. Maximize the freedom of action. Like, we weren't seeking a ceasefire when we agreed to a ceasefire. Our goal was to maximize the freedom of action. That is just a way to say that we got you to agree to a ceasefire when we had zero intention of doing anything that we agreed to. And so then now you are in this position where you're essentially hoping that by you not engaging in hostilities that we, or, you know, in regards to, that Israel will not carry out offensive actions in return. And so you reduce or, you know, completely stop your hostilities. Well, we don't. Israel keeps on going. And then that way we have freedom of action. It reduces the conflict here on our side, on their side of things, doesn't it? Like, I mean, just an absolutely astounding way to look at a ceasefire. Reports on the ongoing U.S.-hosted talks with Israel that Israel is making clear, irrespective of anything else, they neither intend to agree to a permanent ceasefire with Lebanon, nor will they withdraw their ground troops around or from southern Lebanon. There were reports earlier this week that Trump was frustrated about the way the ongoing Lebanon war is disrupting Iran negotiations. Netanyahu said that their goals were aligned. Netanyahu said the goals were not only disarm Hezbollah, which has been the narrative pushed since Israel's invasion in March, but to demilitarize Lebanon, which hasn't been reported as a point which is being discussed at any of the U.S.-hosted talks. And more on Lebanon. They ain't fucking kidding. There ain't no damn ceasefire. 9 killed, including 2 paramedics on Israeli strikes in southern Lebanon. Israel strikes. This is written by Jason Ditz over at antiwar.com. Israel continues to escalate strikes against southern Lebanon on Wednesday and has killed at least 9 people across the region, including 2 paramedics who were slain in an attack on an ambulance. These attacks follow reports that Trump that on Monday Israel agreed to postpone its attack on Beirut and that Hezbollah had made concessions to stop resisting Israel's ongoing invasion of the south. Despite that, Israel attacked the area around Beirut today as well, killing at least 1 person. So this whole we're not going to attack, they attacked Beirut. More than 20 attacks on Lebanon were reported on Wednesday so far, the deadliest in Al-Hawash, where an Israeli strike killed 4 Syrians and 2 Palestinians, according to the Lebanese health ministry. Netanyahu framed the ongoing war as something President Trump and he were in total agreement on, with the goal of the conflict not just the disarming of Hezbollah, but also the full demilitarization of Lebanon itself. Netanyahu further claimed Lebanon had been taken over by Hezbollah, even though ongoing direct negotiations with Lebanon are still being held in the U.S. that conspicuously are totally excluding Hezbollah. Hezbollah has opposed any negotiations that don't include Israeli troops withdrawing from Lebanon, and it appears Israeli officials aren't seriously considering that possibility. Since Israel invaded Lebanon in the beginning of March, over 3,500 Lebanese have been killed and over 10,200 wounded, according to health ministry figures. And this includes hundreds of women and children and more than 200 healthcare workers, as even though Israel insists they only attack Hezbollah infrastructure, they've repeatedly attacked hospitals and ambulances. In Gaza, it's not much better over there. In May, apparently, we saw the highest level of death in Gaza. So Israeli forces killed at least 109 Palestinians in Gaza in May, marking the highest monthly death toll of the year. Middle East Eye reported on Wednesday, citing numbers from Gaza's health ministry. Israel has been constantly vying the U.S.-backed ceasefire deal that was signed in October 2025 and has intensified its attacks after the U.S. and Israel reached a ceasefire with Iran. Israeli strikes in May include assassinations of Hamas leaders and attacks on Gaza police force, but many civilians were killed as well. Among those were killed in May were 19 children and 2 women, or 10 women. Regardless of who the IDF is targeting or who gets killed, each attack marks a violation of the ceasefire deal. Coming back to ceasefires, which called for a halt to all military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment and targeting operations. Israeli attacks continued on Wednesday, with Gaza health officials telling Reuters that at least 3 Palestinians were killed throughout the day. So yesterday we had 3 people killed in Gaza. One attack was an airstrike in central Gaza, which killed 2 brothers, Sakir and Momen Khalil Abu Karim. By the way, I think we should make a thing. One of you guys, if there's anybody out there, now I'm blocked by Dave Rubin because I ratioed the shit out of him forever ago. If I really dug through my pictures, I think I captured it. It was a fun back and forth. I absolutely metaphorically raped Dave Rubin online. I forget what it was, the specifics. It was something to do with something Gaza related, I believe, back in the day, and I just completely crushed his ass in a crazy way. I'll have to find it one of these days. It was a fun moment. But either way, I mean, one of the things he recently said that we covered on his ridiculous Jubilee appearance was he acted ridiculous when someone brought up that they're bombing in Gaza. He's like, oh, they're still bombing over Gaza? Well, here's another example of that. We talked about yesterday there was a bomb in Gaza. Here's another one. So we have an airstrike in Gaza that killed two brothers, Sakir and Momen Khalil. But anyways, my point, if there's anyone out there, I'm blocked by Rubin. But if one of you guys wants to every day that there is a bombing in Gaza, if you just want to tag Rubin and remind him, hell, even if you want to even send it even further, you could clip that little bit of him at me like, they're bombing in Gaza? What? Like, you could just even clip that little moment and just put like a daily, because almost daily there's a bombing in Gaza. So that would be a fun shtick if somebody, and you can tag me. And my point being, tag me, I'll retweet it so I can give it a boost. But he won't see it if I do it. So that's kind of the point, is just to fuck with Rubin. Although I guess whoever does is probably going to get blocked immediately. But either way, someone paged Dave Rubin. There's been another bombing in Gaza for the second day in a row since we started notifying Dave Rubin of such occurrences. Gaza's health ministry sent its daily update that since the so-called ceasefire deal was signed in October 2025, Israeli attacks have killed 936 Palestinians and wounded 2,903, nearly 4,000 total Palestinian casualties. Israel has also violated the ceasefire deal by expanding its control of Gaza from 53% of the territory to 60%, and as it has moved the yellow line further west. Netanyahu said last week that it ordered the IDF to expand to 70%. So not looking great over there. Not looking good for the ceasefire. Same old games being played over there as are being played in Lebanon. Tale as old as time, it seems, with this group of people. But with that, let's roll in the chat. Say some more good mornings. Say some hellos. And then we'll get into, I think it'll probably be the last segment of the day. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe we'll go through it real quick. But the Epstein update, if we have time, we'll get into the Pierce pedo nexus. But with that, let's roll through the chat. Carissa says, not a content creator. I think I can just explain it all. Well, either way, it's a fun name. And if you ever do become a content creator, you already got a name ready to go. Bug Fights says, been looking into Jose Shroom loophole since the other day. Now, I would help you, guide you. I would offer to be like, oh, go here, go there. I mean, I don't remember offhand for one, but I could like get back to you. But then it's like that. Watch, that'll be like how the feds get me or something. So I should probably just shut the fuck up. I'm not helping my I'm not helping you people in that way. But yeah, that's look into it. Look into it. What else we got? PH, and good point here. Nick Rivera says Israeli tech stuff, surveillance tech. Exactly. Good morning, Sirhan Solo. Mr. Wokrek says, what's the boomer narrative for why they're attacking Lebanon? I really think it is, I guess once again plugging my conversation with Matt Wolfson where we talked about the usage of terrorism. I really just think it's like boomer brain rot to where he's heard terrorism. It really is as simple as that. It's just that like, well, they got our boys back in Beirut which we talked about that too. And that like, yeah, but that was like, from the perspective of warfare, that was perfectly fine. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. What was it, like something like 200 Marines in Beirut, hotel, was it like a bombing or something? Like, yeah, they were engaged in hostilities in the region and they were attacked by a armed force there. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not, they act like it's one of these things that frequently gets used as or called terrorism when if you actually understand the dynamics on the ground, it's like, I don't necessarily agree that should have happened. Obviously, I wish all those men were alive, but to characterize it as terrorism as some sort, as if it's like some sort of like something that's not considered permissible in regards to like war and how war is carried out. It's like, I don't know about that. So that's the only way I can understand it. The Lebanon thing makes no fucking sense. I've not heard anyone give even anything close. Like at least Gaza, it's like it's still retarded, but you can do the whole like, well, October 7th and it is like, it literally happened there. Whereas Lebanon's like more abstract and you're like, wait, what? Why are you fighting in Lebanon? It's like, well, we need like a buffer zone for security, and Hezbollah was attacking us, like, which they only attacked like after the Iran war stuff. Anyways, whatever. Okay. With that, I guess let's. Oh, here, hey, Tara Jackson popping in. Says, no way. What's up? Says, what is up, Jose? What's up, Tara? Good to see you in the chat. Let's get into some Epstein updates on the latest. What's going on over there? All right. Well, apparently recently Bondi, I think, had a closed door meeting with the why my brain fart with the what do we call these, the whatever the group of people, why can't I think, the committee, the oversight committee, that's what I was thinking of, with the oversight committee. She had one of these Epstein meetings that they've been having. They talked a little bit. I haven't seen anything. I mean, maybe we'll get more like a transcript or something later, but this is what I have for you right now. I think this is interesting. Pam Bondi no longer being the head of the DOJ. Apparently, this clip I'm about to play for you looks like she shirks the responsibility over to the current head of the DOJ, Blanche, which kind of interesting, considering you'd think the move would be to obfuscate and if anything, lean towards some sort of it was me or something, try to divert, because you would think the shifting of the guard, it would be kind of like a controlled move to try to essentially shift that blame to Bondi and allow it to kind of go with her as she goes out the door, and kind of try to get rid of the stain of Epstein to some degree. But that stain just will not go away. Ain't nothing to end that shit out. So let's check this out.
Clear in just this part of the interview that she continues to push all of the investigation and the blame on acting AG Todd Blanche. She said, and I quote, "Acting AG Blanche was managing the entire investigation," end quote. And what you're going to hear in that interview, and what she's saying here in her words and remarks, is that it was Todd Blanche, the current acting AG, that was leading the Epstein investigation. And quite frankly, all of the mistakes that we saw, the redactions, not protecting survivors, she continues to push that back onto the acting AG, Todd Blanche. Clear injustice.
So yeah, according to this guy right here, yeah, she's shirking all the responsibility off on Todd. I mean, maybe we'll get transcripts if they're not already out. Maybe we'll cover this in a future dump, get into some of the specifics here. But according to these guys, that'd be kind of a wild thing. I mean, I know politicians lie, but it's an awfully specific one. So, but yeah, apparently Blanche also got his time in the sun with the oversight committee. Got a clip for you guys. We'll have to maybe dig into this a little bit deeper. But here is, although he's kind of a smooth operator, there's probably not as many good clips when it comes to Blanche. He's a much smoother operator than Bondi. But let's here's Blanche.
There's a lot in here. I'm shocked at this. There's also this set of files in the file. This is investigation into the potential co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein. I almost used up all the blank ink in the hallway because it's all covered up. It's all covered up. The American people are not stupid. They know that when members of Congress have to go in and actually unredact to try to find the truth for these victims, something is corrupt. Something is corrosive. There's a lot in here.
Okay, well, that was a little bit of a misrepresentative caption there. It says, this is from Shadow Ezra. It says that clipped it. It says, Attorney General Todd Blanche goes completely silent after being shown the redacted names of Epstein's powerful associates that he authorized. This Blanche believes the children were raped on Epstein Island do not deserve justice. This is the investigation of the co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein. It's all covered up. The American people are not stupid. Well, well, kind of fuck you, Shadow Ezra. I really do feel like this clip made it sound like we were going to see her ask a question, Todd Blanche kind of get stumped. No, that was just her giving a stump speech. That was it. And I'll have to mine some more on the Todd Blanche Bondi hearings to see if we can find more interesting stuff there. But funny enough, surprisingly, these have not really been showing up in my feed much. I'm interested if they have for you guys. I mean, Elon Musk was up in them files too, and he's got a lot of file homies, so you never know if they're playing some silly games with us. But or just maybe there wasn't as much interesting in there. Like I said, Todd Blanche is a bit of a smooth operator, plays his lawyerly duties much better than Bondi does. So we'll see. I don't know. I'll pop over there before I set up for tomorrow. I'll look through and see if maybe I can find more in this and dig into it. But doing just a little service level here. Here's him from about a month ago on a podcast with Stephen Miller's wife, which still fucking just bizarre. I don't know if surreal is not the right word. Just bizarre that we're in the state where what even is Stephen Miller? I forget, was he the chief? No, he's not a chief of staff. I know Susie Wiles, I think, is the chief of staff. I forget exactly what Miller what's his title, but either way, he's like one of the point men of the administration, and then like his lady is out there doing a fucking podcast, and frankly, she's kind of fucking retarded. So, I mean, I don't know, just a weird look for the administration, but it does seem to function for their needs, because when they want like kind of a patty cakes interview, she is kind of the go-to. Between her, there's also like a Trump, who is it? One of the Trump, I think one of his daughter-in-laws, I think, does some interviews too somewhere. I've seen some of those too, where you're like, they're really keeping it so tight in the family to make sure nothing gets squeezes through. But here's Todd Blanche on Katie Miller's podcast about a month ago. So here you go. Just a reminder of where he's at on all this.
It's been widely reported that Jeffrey Epstein kind of used a letter type to get to blackmail on his so-called friends, right? First it would be a massage, then it would be a younger girl, and so on and so forth. And there's tons and tons of video. Where's the videos then?
So, look, I don't know, and neither do you, and frankly, I don't know anybody that does, what Epstein did or didn't do beyond what the evidence is that we have in our files, which has now all been released. So the videos that you're talking about, we released hundreds and hundreds of videos, thousands of videos. I do not believe, as a matter of fact, I know that the FBI did not collect any videos of Mr. Epstein or others participating in sex acts. Now, does that mean that he didn't do it? No, I don't know whether he did or not.
So all those thousands of videos that Bondi said that she supposedly had that were in the files, apparently those were, I guess, just a private collection of child porn or something, or she just frankly fucking lied. So that's Todd Blanche, our current AG. I figured I'd let you guys know that they've both had some meetings, and Bondi seemed to shirk some of the blame onto Blanche. So no, keep an eye out. I'm sure there'll be more Epstein updates coming out soon. But another, I guess, more a minor update of the Epstein class. Apparently, Tom Barak, who is one of the ambassador to Turkey, I believe he was either the ambassador to Lebanon, or he at least was performing the duties as the ambassador to Lebanon for a while. I believe he was before all this Lebanon stuff happened. Before the Iran war, that he had been threatening off and on. That there was going to be some sort of hostilities or something. Essentially, he was a third party finagling over there, trying to get he had essentially been angling for Hezbollah to be demilitarized. That's what they've been going with. They've been trying to say we're going to demilitarize the region, meaning they're going to get rid of Hezbollah, which would effectively result in a civil war in that region. For those who understand the dynamics over there. I mean, Hezbollah was basically formed as a response to Israel and their incursions in the Middle East, and it continues to exist, apart from the Lebanese government, because the Lebanese government is renowned for being basically puppets of the Israeli state, and and so essentially they're not there to, in any way push back against the Israelis. So this is why they persevere. And they essentially have kind of become the de facto military in many regards of Lebanon. But anyways, he was involved in all that back and forth. He's kind of a pretty big point man for a lot of stuff going on there. But now Donald Trump has appointed him to somewhere else. Here's his True Social. He says, "I'm pleased to announce that United States Ambassador to Turkey, Tom Barak, who has done an outstanding job, will be named Presidential Envoy to Syria and likewise Special Envoy to Iraq. As we advance our strategic cooperation with the government of Syria and Iraq, our relationship with them continues to grow. Tom will remain ambassador to Turkey and operate with the full backing of the U.S. Department of State. We greatly appreciate the work that Tom Barak has done and his continued willingness to serve our country. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And this was sharing it from Amber Woods, who put this here, who's covered a lot of Epstein stuff. It says, that Trump announces ambassador to Turkey is billionaire Tom Barak. Yes, the same Tom Barak from the Epstein files. He says, if you've been following me, you know I recently posted a thread about billionaire Andrew Farkas's connections to Jeffrey Epstein's network. Epstein also coached his relationship with Sommers leading up to their marriage. Trump named Sommers as ambassador to Malta last year. So this sounds like the wife to, or no, never mind, I'm retarded. This is so Sommers. Sommers is the wife. So you have Andrew Farkas, who is a billionaire connected to Epstein, and then his wife Sommers, who apparently Epstein helped hooked up. Which, I mean, there's a number of people like this. For example, Kimball Musk, Elon Musk's brother, was in the Epstein files multiple times with references. And this is stuff we knew before the files too, that Epstein had set up Kimball with a broad. So apparently the same thing goes for this billionaire here, Farkas, which is kind of funny to look at. Look at him with his wife. I mean, hey, I'm all here for small kings, but like, I don't know. Look at this. It's like this, like dude my height, you know, with a kind of generic looking old dude, and then she's like this old hot lady. I mean, they're age appropriate at least, and she's got like well over half a foot on his ass. So, but that's who Epstein hooked him up with. He kind of seems to fit the part. And then continuing on, and then she also shared here a little piece reminding the probably most prolific appearance of Tom Barak in the Epstein files. As Jeffrey Epstein asked U.S. ambassador to Turkey to make him smile with child in photo. We've shared that on the show before. And I also asked Grok. I mean, I've teased perhaps doing a Tom Barak segment, Epstein connection for a while, but for today, just a quick Grok dig will work. I try not to lean on Grok too much, but it's useful for stuff like this when you're like bringing up multiple connections. But bear in mind, that's a level of credibility we're dealing with as we dig through this one. So I asked Grok, what are Tom Barak's ties to Jeffrey Epstein? I says, Tom Barak, a longtime Trump ally, real estate investor, former chairman of Colony Capital, 2016 Trump inauguration chair, and current U.S. ambassador to Turkey / special envoy as of 2026, had a years-long social and professional relationship with Jeffrey Epstein that continued well after Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting a minor. So key aspects of their ties, long-standing acquaintances. They moved in overlapping elite New York / South Florida circles in the 1980s to 1990s. Author Michael Wolff described Trump, Epstein, and Barak as a set of nightlife musketeers from that era. So that's key. Now, Wolff is a dubious character. He's in the Epstein files as well quite a bit. And it's always like, what is this guy? It's always confusing. He seems to be a bit of a wolf in some regards, it seems. Contacts appear in Epstein's file as early as 2002. Mentions an email involving Tom Pritzker and Ghislaine Maxwell, plus a FedEx package from Epstein's office to Barak. Post-conviction contact, Barak emailed Epstein in September 2009, shortly after Epstein's jail release. Says, thinking about you. Hope you are good and life is calm again. They exchanged over 100 emails and texts spanning more than a decade, including social invitations, business discussions, and networking. 2011-2012, Barak called Epstein his role model and praised him effusively. So this is in 2011-2012. This is years after, within only a single years, less than 5 years, like 2 or 3 years after the conviction. So Barak called him his role model and praised him. After meeting a mutual contact, Sultan Ahmad bin Salayim, Barak wrote, I told them you were the best, that you are the first-class brain inside of a first-class human being. Miss you. Now, during the Trump campaign in 2016, contacts intensified as Barak fundraised and advised Trump. They planned meals, some possibly with Ehud Barak and Vitaly Churchkin. Epstein forwarded Barak info on a later dropped lawsuit alleging misconduct involving Trump and asked for photos of Barak and a child to make me smile. Barak apparently sent some. Epstein replied, photos look good. Epstein also shared reporter inquiries about Trump. Epstein facilitated or proposed connections for Barak with figures like Pierre Thiel, Ehud Barak, Vitaly Churkin, Prince Andrew, and Middle Eastern contacts. Barack reportedly suggested a design. Oh, no, never mind. Back up a little bit. Offers involving his New York or New Mexico ranch or New York home. So I guess to specify, he's, both of these were essentially offering meetings, connections at both of these properties. Barack reportedly suggested a design firm for Epstein's Island. They discussed potential real estate deals, such as trying to show Epstein's New York City mansion to Qatar's prime minister. In November 2018, both flew privately from Teterow to Palm Beach within an hour of each other. I mean, that one's kind of weak. Now, Barack has responded to this. He's saying all of us dealt with Epstein in the 1980s as a businessman, describing him as bigger than life with perceived Israel ties, claiming later contacts were mostly Epstein seeking access/information. He denied making certain introductions. No evidence in public files shows Barack knew of or participated in Epstein's criminal activities. These details come primarily from recently released Justice Department Epstein files. Now, continue on. Now that I did hone in a little bit, being like, hey, what actual substantive connections are there? For example, specific business dealings. Because I vaguely had recalled there were some like business dealings that really kind of like, oh shit. Probably the biggest one here. So these did exist. It's kind of weird that Grok didn't hone in on these at first, but whatever. I had to claw a little bit deeper. So it says substantive business connections between Tom Barack and Jeffrey Epstein appear limited and mostly opportunistic or network-oriented, with no public evidence of large-scale joint ventures, direct investments by Epstein to Barack's private deals, partnerships, or shared ownership in major projects. Maybe not like quite a large-scale joint ventures, but there was large amounts of money being shared amongst the two. For example, this is probably one of the best business-specific ones. Epstein's purchase of Colony Capital stock, so he bought some of his stocks, about around $1 million, so nothing too astounding there. But the connections do abound. At very least, it shows more than just a casual, or more than just a cursory, more than just a acquaintance sort of relationship, something a little bit more than that. But in late 2012, Epstein bought approximately $1 million worth of shares in Colony Capital, Barack's publicly traded real estate investment trust. This followed Epstein forwarding an investor email about the company to Barack. Colony was a large public company with broad holdings, and then also attempted brokerage of Epstein's New York City mansion to Qatar's prime minister. In January 2012, Barack and Epstein coordinated a potential sale/viewing of Epstein's massive Manhattan townhouse to Sheikh Hamad bin Jassim bin Jabir Al Thani, which was then Qatar's prime minister. Barack arranged for the Sheikh to view the property. Staff prepared it, including removing nude photos. The visit was delayed and canceled, and the Sheikh reportedly said it lacked enough bedrooms. No sale occurred, though the Qatari leader later bought a different property nearby. So we have Tom Barack seemingly setting up real estate deals for Jeffrey Epstein, once again displaying clearly more than just a acquaintance level relationship. We got Barack's suggestion of a design firm. Oh, we already talked about that last. So I think that's all the big stuff, but there's definitely plenty. I mean, that's more than enough. I mean, obviously, there's no like smoking gun, crazy close ties, but worth mentioning. And for all those who just want to dismiss this as like, okay, so what? Who was this Epstein guy? What did he do? There's a lot of people trying to downplay it. Well, I did bring out a couple examples of the sort of clout, the sort of level of control that Epstein was dealing with. Here is one of them. This is, I don't know the EFTA number here, but here's from Lord Bebo saying Epstein was asked to get someone out of Assad's prison. And it seems like he may have been able to. So this answer, let's look at the back and forth here. This is an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Joy Ito, or a back and forth here. Initially says talk today. It says my schedule's a bit crappy, but I could call from the car around 6:30 p.m. ish. Where will you be? It says I'm trying to get a friend out of prison in Syria. You don't happen to have anyone with influence over Assad, do you? It says not for email. So obviously no smoking gun once again here, but you have this guy in this email, this back and forth. He's trying to get someone out of a prison in Syria. And you can say, whoa, not for email. So this tells us a few things. I mean, it doesn't explicitly tell us. You can infer some things from this that seems like perhaps maybe he could. And this also implies he had some, you got to think, if he's saying not for email, this means there's some things that he's saying are too sensitive to be said over email. And if you're someone who's taken, I don't know, just the slightest bit of time to actually peruse the Epstein files, or the least bit familiar with the overall body of the things that dropped in all of that and the things we found out, or perhaps could have been the case, knowing this guy had the tiniest bit of OPSEC and there's certain things he wouldn't talk about, that in and of itself is kind of revealing, considering the crazy shit that they were saying. But here you go. It seems like he may have had the clout to make something like that happen. Here's another one. So this is a back and forth showing the sort of perhaps clout he could have in Libya. So emails from July 2011 show that Jeffrey Epstein and an associate named Greg Brown discussed plans to extort Libyan officials and seize state assets under pretext of helping rebuild the country, with involvement from former MI6 and Mossad. This correspondence took place during Libya's civil war, weeks before Muammar Gaddafi was removed from power, indicating the plans were devised while the regime is still in control. So here is the email from Greg Brown to Jeffrey Epstein. So here's a back and forth. So the first one from Jeffrey to him says, the Libyans now are legit but need real help. They must be careful. There will be many claims on that money. And here's Greg Brown to Jeffrey. It's understood. Remember, there are already $80 billion in frozen funds / assets internationally, of which $32.4 billion is in the U.S., and it is estimated the real number is somewhere between 3 to 4 times this number in sovereign, stolen, and misappropriated assets. So if we can identify / recover 5 to 10% of these monies and receive 10 to 25% as compensation, we are talking about billions of dollars. But the real carrot is if we can become their go-to guys, because they plan to spend at least $100 billion next year to rebuild their country and jumpstart the economy. Also remember, Libya is a rich country, as its population is 2 million less than the city of New York and has the 9th largest crude oil and natural gas reserves on the planet and a literacy rate of almost 80%. I've been speaking to law firm Paul Hastings, Janofsky, and Walker, 1,200 attorneys, of which 240 are partners, to go after the money on a contingency basis, and they are considering this because Patton Boggs is representing the TNC on a contingency basis. But it would be to our advantage to pay them on an hourly basis and initially go after the low-hanging fruit, which would enable us to keep more of the money. I also have friends, formerly with MI6 and Mossad, willing to help identify stolen assets and get them recovered. This is a give me. If we can get in early, let's speak as soon as possible. Sincerely, Greg Brown. So that's, that right in itself, the sort of stuff they're talking about there, the sort of finagling they're talking about on the international, how they're going to make things move, the sort of intel people they're connected with here to make it happen, kind of makes you wonder what's going on, what kind of powers does this guy have, and I think that really kind of puts this all in frame. But with that, let's roll the chat one more time. Let's check in on you people debating whether we should do the last segment or save that tomorrow. I'm leaning towards saving that for tomorrow. But let's roll the chat one more time. Check in on you beautiful people. Tara is on a different account over here. I guess she's doubling up over on YouTube too. Says, when you get a second, can I get a link to the Telegram group, please? This is a different account, LOL. Well, okay, let me try this. I can't give you a Telegram link on here. I did it on Patreon. It should be one of the more recent ones. I did it recently, just like past couple days. Should be one of the most recent posts. There should be a link for the Telegram. I almost like an idiot just now dropped this into the chat. I really don't know. There's not like a messenger on YouTube that I'm aware of that I could like send it to you. It would have to be in a comment. And then for one, YouTube would probably they pretty much censor all links when you drop them in comments. And then 2, I'd be giving it out to everybody at that point. So, let's see what else we got in here. Well, I guess that's all we got for today. I see Tom still trying to find some shrooms online, so that's cool. Cool. Tara says, I'll figure it out, I promise. Like I said, just go over to patreon.com. You're a member now, I know that. And then it should be one of the most recent ones. Most recent post should say Telegram or something like that, and bing, bang, boom. You should be right on in there. I look forward to talking to you. Man, I'm really kicking myself back. Should I do this last segment? No. We'll save it for tomorrow. We'll cut it short today. Take a little easy here on Thursday. We'll cover this stuff tomorrow. With that, though, hey, Evan, you're popping in last second. What I missed? The whole show. We're finishing right now. I was kicking around the idea of doing the last segment, but we're going to keep Pierce Pedo Nexus. We're going to kick that to tomorrow. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow around 11 a.m. Eastern, give or take, assuming I'm on time. Now, for those who want to support what I'm doing over here, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can find the show on YouTube, Rumble, all the major audio podcatchers, and Twitter as well. On Twitter, that's at TowerGangJose. Everywhere else, that's the No Way Jose podcast. And if you want to support the show the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com. So there's No Way Jose 2020 in the top left-hand corner. You'll see that QR code. That's the best way to support the show over here with money. And over there you get perks too, as opposed to just supporting with super chats or whatever. You can actually get something in return as opposed to just me reading your chats or whatever. You get a whole host of perks. I try to give you guys access to, I give you guys access to ad-free episodes. Try to do about 1 to 2 of those per week. Try to keep about 3 to 4 of them behind the paywall at any given time. I also give you guys access to ad-free RSS feed, to the Telegram, the pre-show, the post-show, and video calls. Me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, already dead. And also give a big shout out to the highest level of my Patreon. Is a big thank you for their support over at patreon.com. So No Way Jose 2020. Big shout out to these homies. Thank you. The previous host co-host on Tower Gang, Toad at Leonard Toad, also at Brigade D's, at ZealVRCK, at _Zeal, Tim Tuttle, at John Glebo, big fan of the show, Torn May, at Wayne Tacos, One Undercover Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, Jacob Wintergut, a Big Old Anarchy podcast, and John Black, that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bastard. And with that, guys, enjoy this outro. I hope you guys dig it. It's a little bit of a crow lore, is what we're going to be digging into today. Oh, actually, one last thing before we dig into the outro. I did have this saved. I was debating whether I'd mention it or not. If you're still sticking around at this point, I see that I saw yesterday that Sam Tripoli is putting out. He's making a call for new. How do I put this? He's making a call for new inductees to the Mount Crushmore of Tinfoil Hat. So he's saying, who has been your favorite guest from the last 500 episodes? It says you can vote up to 4 guests. It says, but you cannot vote for anyone already enshrined at Mount Crushmore. Eddie Bravo, Alex Jones, Isaac Weishaupt, Matt LaCroix, and Santos Bonacci. It says cast your votes now and help decide who earns a place among the legends. So I just want to let you guys know that's a thing. If you're a Twitterer out there, at Sam Tripoli is his Twitter account. If you want to try to induct someone to the Mount Crushmore, I'm not even necessarily making a case for me. I would actually, my vote was for Austin. He's my boy. I love him. I love seeing my dude do big shit. So if I'm making an appeal to you guys out there, I guess you can throw my name out there. You can throw up to 4 in there. But what I really want you guys to do in there is go in there and tag Austin. I'll even give you Austin's @ because he's got a bit of a weird @ here he is. It's Austin Wade Picard at Theater Thug, which that's a R-E spelling of theater. Theater Thug AWP. So TheaterThugAWP. So get your vote in there. Let Sam Tripoli know. Let him know that Austin, he's the guy. He's our dude. He's definitely had some dope episodes. If you want to mention me in there, I've been on there a couple times. I went on there with, funny enough, one of the guys on his Mount Crushmore I went on with. I went on Eddie Bravo to talk OKC. That was an interesting episode, pretty surreal, randomly. And I did not know Eddie Bravo was going to be on that episode. That just happened randomly. That just kind of happened the day of. He was like, oh, Eddie's here. I was like, what? Okay, cool. So not that I'm like a huge Eddie Bravo fan or anything, but that's definitely a weird, surreal moment as somebody in the conspiracy / parapolitical realm. So, but yep, just want to let you guys know that's out there. He's looking to expand the faces put on Mount Crushmore. So help a brother out. Go vote for Austin. Tara Jackson, we're all going to vote for Austin. Tom says, did Toad ever find a job? No, he did not. Not that I know of, at least. But with that, I do also have this crow lore that I figured a little video that I thought was interesting. Now, I talked about the other day about we talked to Wax Poetic a little bit about the UFC, and I kind of gave you guys my like hierarchy of like values of like extracurricular stuff. So like the top of it's probably like working out, reading after that, and then like if I were in some sort of situation, you know, like how the silly little commies imagine, you know, like in the world where everything, you know, in the perfect commie world, we can all just do everything we want to do. Like that would be the hierarchy of things I do. It'd be something I'd be working out every day. I'd be reading every day. And then like the third thing after that would be fighting, like MMA. I was like, that was probably like my third thing, like of extracurricular things, like fighting, aside from like soccer, but like soccer, I guess soccer too. So soccer, then fighting. And then after that, like nature. I'm a big nature guy. I like to, even when I work out, I try to work out outside if I can. I like going on runs outside. I grew up in rural areas. I'm a real country boy in certain ways. Like not in some ways. I'm trying to say I'm a bit of a country boy. I grew up in rural areas my whole life. That's what I know. So like the country is my shit. I've gone to the point where like my goal is to be like one with nature one day. Like to me that's beautiful. Like I'm out, like the other day I was out there smoking a bowl out in the backyard and 10 feet away from me there were squirrels fighting. I just sat there and watched for like a good 5 minutes. Like, wow, this is beautiful. I go on runs and hawks run beside me. But the one community of animals I have not earned the trust of that I really want to, because you always hear this stuff about crows being the shit, is crows. So with that, I just want to, here is this crows thing. This is the next community of animals I want to work on. I need to find a way to gain the trust of crows. Maybe they just know deep down I'm a piece of shit. I'm not sure, but I think if a hawk likes me, that's fucking cool. You know how cool it is? Fucking cruising down the road running and then just go, and then like right beside you, kind of like almost the same speed. That's happened more than once. It was fucking cool. But anyways, I digress. Nature's beautiful. I love animals. Check out crows. They're cool. We'll see you tomorrow around 11 a.m. Eastern. Love you all. Bye-bye. Oh, I'm an idiot. Give me a second. I totally thought I had that set up. I did not. I'm retarded. I just stood there and stared at the screen like a retard for a moment. Give me a moment. 1 second. StreamYard's really glitching here. The last time I had to like bring it up and down multiple times. So if that like setup was strained, I'm sorry. So here you go. Enjoy this. We love you all.
If you touch a crow's beak, it might immediately wipe it clean. And honestly, that reaction is not random. Crows are incredibly emotional birds, and they remember experiences with humans for a very long time. In fact, researchers discovered that crows can recognize specific human faces years later. So if a crow has a bad interaction with someone, it may continue avoiding or warning others about that person long afterward. And somehow it gets even stranger. Crows don't only remember people they dislike, they also remember humans who are kind to them. Some crows become surprisingly attached to certain people, following them around, sitting nearby for attention, or even bringing small objects that almost look like gifts. Because crows are highly social animals, they also communicate constantly with each other. If one crow sees danger, nearby crows quickly react too. That's part of why entire groups sometimes seem unusually aware of specific humans in the area. And their intelligence goes far beyond memory. Crows can solve complex puzzles, recognize patterns, and even use tools to get food.